Hey everyone, and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. This is one that actually is rather unexpected. They have revamped character creation in the game. And this is something that I actually think is going to matter quite a bit. So you're going to see why, right? Look at this UI that you see right now. Pretty old style, right? We've got these panels, just the way that they're done. You know, it's just a bit aged, a bit dated, and bam, here you go. This is what Blizzard are doing now. I think, as you can see, it is very different indeed. A lot more modern feeling. What do I mean by that? Well, it's a lot more stripped down. There's a lot less in the way of panels, and certainly content is taking most of the focus. Overall, what you see though is male-females up at the top. You've got the Alliance to the left, Horde to the right, regular races at the boundaries, allied races then, you know, a bit further inside there. So that's basically your selection. You can see the classes down below. Your core difference here is there's a lot less text than the old version of this screen, a lot less panels. It is just more clean and modern. I mean, you know, just like look at the, you know, like the shading of the blue outline there, right? This is just a very different vibe to what we typically get in World of Warcraft for UI design. And certainly if you look at the edge highlights and, well, the physicality of this customize button, yeah, very different to all of these various different buttons that they've got going on, you know, around here. So that's what's going on there. But with that, let's move on. We actually go in to customize the character. Yeah, you see even more differences. You've got this Gaussian blur going on. I mean, it's kind of weird. I've been trying to tell whether it is... Okay, so it seems like this may be an actual depth blur. It's kind of hard to tell because usually World of Warcraft doesn't do like any depth of field based blurring, and certainly the new effect whenever your character dies in Shadowlands, it does look like a screen spaced effect, which is why I think a lot of people are finding it to be very sickening. But there is one issue with this, right? With their implementation of this blur. So look at the thighs of this Draenei. I think it's just really clear there because you got the blue sky. Now, if you look at where the blue sky is, you can see that the color of that armor on the legs is actually extending out into the blur. Now, that is not how this blur should be implemented. Now, I get it, this is sometimes a little bit tricky to do. I certainly have done similar things using the post-processing stack in the Unity engine, and of course in editing videos as well, playing around with blurs. So that's something I think Blizzard should really patch up, because that's what makes this look a little bit muddy. So yeah, not really ideal. But that said, the overall effect that they're going for, yeah, I do actually like it. It does put a lot more of a, you know, emphasis, a focus on your character, so that is pretty good. In terms of the rest of the UI, you've got the name randomization feature that exists for the US. I don't think it's ever existed for the EU, but it's still there. You've got some appearance randomization here. Basically, right, these are all the buttons you would expect, just in a slightly different place. Where things really are quite a bit different is over here. Now, this is quite funny because the design of this button, right, the design language of that button in terms of just how it's implemented is completely different from some of their other buttons. So it just really does show you that this whole thing is this like halfway house between designs of Blizzard using the buttons they've already got, but then kind of creating these new ones that feel a good bit more modern. So a bit strange. Now, when we actually go on to the sliders, they're not really sliders for things like, say, height or weight or muscles or that other slider that, you know, I think a lot of people would be very interested in having, let's just say. So it's not a slider like that. This is really just using a slider to pick from a range of options. So yeah, that essentially is what you're dealing with. But what I really want to do though is I want to we'll just log into this character, and I'm going to really do this to make a point to you. It's a point that's quite simple because I just logged in. Now, remember, we've just used this new modern-looking experience, and bam, we are now into a UI that's mostly 14 years old. Sure, the quest tracker isn't, but even the design language of the quest tracker is pretty old. Same goes for your minimap. These griffins, right, the old art bar, that is just something that's pretty darn different to what Blizzard are presenting with their character creation. So there is a little bit of me that actually wonders, you know, Blizzard have redesigned this one part of the World of Warcraft UI. Would they ever want to pursue a modernization of things? I mean, certainly the talking head frame that appeared whenever I logged in here that had Anduin talking, that is a good bit more modern than the rest of the UI, and in some ways does kind of clash with it stylistically. So I think you see what I mean here. There really is this clash of elements, and when it comes to presenting a new player a sort of cohesive experience, yeah, a little bit odd. And that said, I do like the direction that they're going with. I'm just going to log off from this character with the good old /camp function. That's I suppose a command that a lot of people won't be aware of that will actually log your character out. So, right, yeah, you've got this kind of old style UI. You've got this new style UI. What's going on? Little bit interesting. A part of me does wonder, you know, if that like WoW console stuff that I was joking about, well, I mean that I was talking about, like the console controller support obviously is a thing, but it's just the other changes that would actually make World of Warcraft run pretty much a lot better on a console. Wonder like if they were trying to do some sort of modernized push of getting people into the game via the new player experience of Exile's Reach, which I'll hop into on this character say, but via Exile's Reach, via a new character customization experience, one that of course would have more in the way of options, like, and actually just for those options, if I hop over to like a human, which demonstrates it pretty decently, you will have expected the new ethnicities to be here. They are not. So the character customization that you will have seen preview to BlizzCon or data mine and Wowhead, not currently in. But my point being, right, you've got all of this sort of modern feeling UI. Oh, that was a template character, whoops. But then you hop in the game and, you know, the rest of it does feel a bit old. So there's some clashes there, but certainly interesting developments from Blizzard. And I suppose when I look at this with, you know, with the part of me that sometimes is working on game UI stuff for what we're doing, or, you know, is working on video edits, of course, a lot less so these days than in days of old. Yeah, it just does me off, get me thinking about a few different things. I'd love to know though, what do you think about this? Do you prefer this? Do you think it's worse? Do you think it's better? What would you like to see changed? Yeah, just let me know. I guess this is Blizzard taking what was classically a pretty old feeling bit of the UI, making it a bit new. I just wonder, what do you think about that? So do let me know. Thank you very much for watching this video and stay tuned for our Torghast coverage today. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.